Hello and welcome to our weekly Genius Biofeedback class, everyone. I am so grateful all of you are finding the link, and there will be a new link every week. So I will make sure you get the newsletter just like you did today. The notification basically will come weekly, and we'll have other articles and important information in each one of those as well. So I want to really welcome you. I'm just so glad that you're able to be here today. And if you missed the live class, then you may be on the recording. I want to talk about the synergistics today because people have requested that a couple of times to talk about what it is and how to use it. And then I'm going to jump right into a case analysis. And I believe in the coming weeks, we'll be talking more about working with your companion animals, working with dogs and cats. And I'm working on a webinar dedicated exclusively to dogs and cats. So if you have a cat, a dog, a horse, a companion animal that you want me to work on, go ahead and send them to my email. So email me, ariel@awakentotalhealth.com. So if there's somebody that you, a dog or a cat you want me to work on in this future webinar, go ahead and send me an email, ariel@awakentotalhealth.com, and tell me about what they have going on with them. So we have, I love this adorable name, Bon Bon. Bon Bon is a 14-year young dog, which is Tony, one of our users, has requested because Bon Bon is having a fairly bad cough and wanted me to look at this and see what was going on. So when you're working with a dog or a cat, you want to get the approximate date of birth. Tony was pretty specific and thought this was the exact date of birth, but honestly, it will work with an estimated date of birth. I've worked on a lot of animals, and you have a 10-year-old dog approximately. You go back 10 years, say 10 years ago was 2008, and you sort of estimate it that way. Sometimes I had a cat that was really super feisty, and I just really felt like her personality, this is just like an Aries, so I sort of estimated her birthday as sometime in April. But the program is so forgiving as a quantum tool. So then you use the last name, usually your last name, gender, obviously you know that. So this is a boy doggy. And then now their voice, you could actually act as a surrogate for their voice. So when you speak as a surrogate and you're very closely connected through all they talk about in the Indian tradition, the nadis, the energetic pathways of the body, like you're so connected through these different nadis to your dog and your cat. So it's very natural for you to speak as a surrogate. It's just before you start speaking as a surrogate, you want your intention to be really, really clear. So you hit the record button. I'm not going to do it at the moment, but it is my intention that my voice be a surrogate for Bon Bon. A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U. That's how a quantum tool works. You have to be very clear in your intention. You also could take the iPad or the device and just place it under their snout and just record their breathing, because that's a sound. Or with a cat, you can sort of, pet them behind the ears and get them purring, and you can record them purring. Or if your dog will respond to the command speak, then use that. I had a dog that was amazing at doing that, and so I would record him barking for the purposes of doing the session. So then you've done that, and then this little doggy's pretty sick, so I think that Tony couldn't get a very good picture. I know this is such a sad picture. This is a little dog lying down, I think, not feeling very well. And then so we get that picture, and he sent me the picture. I know you can hardly see this poor guy. It looks like he's really having a very tough time. He is 14, so there's so much to talk about with dogs and cats in natural medicine these days. We know that dogs and cats, unfortunately, particularly with with your dog that you walk outside, he's having a bad cough, so let's add an energetic text. I don't usually do this. I'll come back to the thing about the dogs and the cats in a moment. So when you use this part here, this energetic piece, when you put something in the box, it plays the energy of that particular word or phrase throughout the entire session. So when I put in this word, I want to put in miraculously. Okay. Clear, cough, and lungs. Okay. Miraculously clear cough and lungs, because that's the basic thing. Is he did all this balancing, but he couldn't get the cough to clear. So that's what he was concerned about. So then we hit, sorry, the program is lagging a little bit today, so it's a little bit behind what I'm doing. Then I'm going to add in my libraries, and I'll go ahead and add the libraries, and we'll talk about the veterinary panels and so forth. So then I'm going to hit begin analysis. I'm going to start the party here and see what we get and talk about that. Then today I'm going to talk about synergistics. See, it's lagging a little bit, you guys. So I'm going to talk about synergistics, and then I'll talk about the all matrix, the general matrix, which a lot of people don't use. And thanks everybody for finding the link and getting your way in here. We have a great turnout for a brand new link. Andre, welcome. Thanks for being here. Tina is a new owner of the Genius. Tina, welcome, and thank you so much for being here today. Hilda is here, and Kendra, Karen from Canada. I'm so grateful. Our beloved Karen from Saskatchewan. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here and you got the link. Sherry is here, Sherry M, and Sherry is thinking about getting the Genius. That's one of our potentially new users. Or Sherry, catch me up and let me know how you're doing. And Dale is here. Welcome, Dale. And Beatrice, I haven't seen you in a while. Beatrice, I'm so glad you're here with us. So longtime user of the Genius. So good. Now, one thing I want to just observe right here, it's interesting, is the Bach flower essences. And animals are so receptive to the Bach flower essences. So if you use Bach flower essences, because dogs and cats are operating hugely in the emotional realm. They are very, very receptive to these emotional remedies. And the thing that really blows people's minds is that when they often read the flower essences or even the emotions for their particular animal, they will see the pattern that fits their animals, their companion, pets, personality. So they'll really see that. And you'll also often see a resonance with the higher vibrations. So you'll often see like sacred geometry really calling, or the Solfeggio tones, because they're living in those higher realms, but they also have that childlike tenderness to them. So they're very, very receptive to the gentle energies of things like Bach flower essences. So for animals, the Bach flower essences may be even more powerful than for people. So animals, just like children and infants, need the most gentle pushes of energy. And it's why I'm so grateful that many of you are interested in working with your companion animals or even other animals, because we bring animals into the field of Western conventional medicine. I think it's a huge mistake, because it's sort of like taking a hammer and hitting somebody over the head with a hammer often. Like, animals don't need to be hit over the head with a hammer. They just need a very gentle push. And if we just push them back towards, these gentle pushes towards balance and harmony, they will just boom. They will become healthy very, very quickly. And one of the reasons is they do not have any resistance. They don't have the mental resistance that we often have, which is like, how could this work? I don't understand. I don't believe this. Well, this can't be helping me. And they have to go through all those layers of that first before they can get anywhere. So we can even just do a quick, let's just do a quick progressive insights and just tell us what the top flower essence is. Rescue Remedy. You guys, Rescue Remedy is really, really good to keep in your house and have like a natural medicine kit. So you guys all know things like arnica. Most people have arnica cream and, you know, some type of natural first aid for different things like burns. You could have a nice salve. Calendula is a good salve to get. Calendula is amazing. Not to wax poetic, but you know, if you look up calendula, calendula was used for back to the Civil War in helping to prevent gangrene in injuries. Calendula is an amazing healer of the skin. So Rescue Remedy is good if somebody gets hurt, if they're very frightened, if you're very frightened, if you have an immediate medical concern that is of an acute nature and you want to take the edge off, Rescue Remedy is really good. So he's in an acute, dangerous medical, you know, place where the cough is really bad. So Rescue Remedy, you put a couple of drops in their water. You can just put a couple of drops in their under their tongue. They even make a pet version of the Rescue Remedy, which I believe may be glycerin based instead of alcohol based. So, but it's so easy to administer this. And if you've ever taken Rescue Remedy, it like changes your whole outlook on life. So that, I think that's really great. And we can just run the energy of Rescue Remedy. That's the idea of these remedies, is to just run the energy for them. You don't have to go out and buy all of these. Now, large is lack of confidence. And for, you know, what's going to be happening is there's going to be a merging often. You're going to see you're going to see your issues in your pets. Okay, they're little emotional sponges, and whenever you're upset, stressed out, something's going on, they're like buffering you all the time. So they're taking stuff on a lot of the time. So clearing them is a way you clear yourself, but you also help them in their animal service to you. Like they're giving service to you all the time and being sort of this emotional, you know, piece that you have that you don't recognize. You don't do it intentionally, but animals are so unconditionally loving that they're just, you know, they're taking on all of this stuff. So large, this could be something the owner is working on, right? For those who do not consider themselves good or capable as those around them, who expect failure or who feel they will never be a success, and so do not venture out to make a strong enough attempt to succeed. So there could be a matching picture with the owner. There might be an element. And these aren't permanent constitutional things. It could be just the chapter in our lives, or, you know, that day in our lives, something that we're working on. So they don't have to be completely ascribed to us permanently. Okay, walnut, protection from change and unwanted influences. For those who have definite ideals and ambitions in life and are fulfilling them, but on rare occasions are tempted to be led away from their own ideas. This remedy gives constancy and protection from outside influences. And let's just do one more. And then for this, you could do a 3-minute balancing right at the beginning for the dog. Now, notice we didn't have to get to the root cause of the cough. We could just run this. Because this is working on the emotions and clearing out a lot of things, it helps to heal the physical. And you could notice the cough get better very, very quickly. Gentian is discouragement after a setback. Those who are easily discouraged, they may be progressing well in illness, but any small delay or hindrance to progress causes doubt and soon disheartens them. So this could even be the animal taking on the thought process or the emotion of the owner, thinking the owner may be feeling like there's a setback and, oh my gosh, is he going to get better? What's going to happen? This seems like it's not going fast enough, that kind of thing. So that could be going on. So you will learn something in the process about the dog or the cat. You'll learn something about yourself. You'll see where there's this sort of enmeshment energy, and both of you will feel better as you begin to clear this. So I'm using the rescue remedy along with 3 sort of descriptive energies that the person is working on, or the animal really is working on. And then we just do that for about 3 minutes. We're going to then take a look at the aura. We'll look at a few things related to the respiratory system. We'll look at the body systems. And I want to call your attention to the general matrix. Some of you on today may not even be aware of what the general matrix is, so we'll talk about this. Beatrice says, my dog has the same cough. I was told it was maybe a heart murmur, possibly enlarged. I'm so happy to listen and learn possibly if I can help Sophie, who is 14 also. Wow, and you guys, I think, are both from Southern California, so really there must be a nice synergistic, synchronistic energy going on there. Okay, so yeah, I think Grace says she talks about letting her dog go. I think that, we've all had to let pets go, and it's really difficult. Read this book once by a woman named Michelle Small-Wright. She's the one, I think, who did the Perlandra remedies. And she said that animals, they just sort of, it's not that they don't suffer to take away from the legitimacy of all of that, but when they get ready to transition, she observed that they just really just pop right out of their souls, just pop right out of their bodies. It's the transition is much easier for them. They sort of understand, they've got that momentum, they know that they're moving and transitioning to their next part of their journey. And so they do experience it differently. And so it's great if we can help them or pray for them or let them go in whatever way heals us. But they had, a wonderful life in learning from you and everything around them, if they are in fact ready to go, or if they did leave. But think of the life that they've had. I mean, they're here to learn. They're observing, taking notes, and then they're progressing to whatever, but whether it be a next doggy life or whatever the next step in their evolution is. So if they're really here just like us, they're on the Earth School, taking notes and learning everything that they can absorb and learn to take on their journey. And of course, we know some of them come back and they're with us again in subsequent lifetimes. So probably not the last time when you feel very connected to an animal that you will be, you guys will be together again. So I hope you take comfort in some of that. So just this alone, we've gotten to 53% rectification. This is very, very good. This could even be complete in and of itself. Like, this is very, very good progress just for 3 minutes. And I started with the emotions first because dogs are very much influenced by that. Now, the dog is 14. It's interesting to see the neurotransmitters, so it could be some brain stuff going on there. So let's gather up the GABA, soothes and calms the mind. The epinephrine could be some adrenal hormones, histamine. So histamine could be food allergies, or there might be a lot of inflammation based on what's going on. If you think about respiratory stuff, we often take an antihistamine. So that running that frequency may help to calm that cough down. And you can even put that in your little tool chest there where you could make a note, histamine, use this when somebody is having that kind of inflammatory process where they're having a really bad cough. You don't increase the histamine, you harmonize the histamine. So we've got a lot of really, look at all the things appearing in the biofield, really high vibrational energy sort of showing up and wanting to play with this little pooch. And let's do a quick picture of the aura, take a picture of what's going on there and see what's going on. So quick look at the aura just to do this for progress. I like to look at it for progress. Okay, some beautiful higher energies going on in here. Some pink and rose. These are higher vibrational energies. And what we like to see, sort of the healed aspect would be this over here. The not healed aspect would be this under here. I'm gonna try to see what you guys are seeing. So under here, there's physical blockages. So this could be the first 3 chakras, and the dog could be very open in the higher chakras. But there's some muddiness for sure on the left side and under the right side. So this is what we want to see clear up. Those browns and grays, we want them to turn purple, blue, emerald green, rose, the pink, the rose gold kind of a color. Those are the things that we want to see. And I just want to welcome everyone who's coming into the room now. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you found the webinar link and that you're part of our class today. It's really nice to have you here. So let's go ahead and let's look at the libraries to see if, well, first let's look at today's stress. Let's look at today's stress and we'll look at the body system. Then we'll go to the more specific libraries. So let's see what today's stress is good to run always for you guys to get an overview. So what's going on with the person? Sometimes we want to get to root cause. Root cause and really understanding the underpinnings of what's going on with someone, whether it be human or animal, that's the most challenging part of biofeedback for most people. And you don't have to be a naturopath. You don't have to have one whit of nutritional knowledge. It helps, and that's why I encourage you to take my classes. But if you have, any common sense, you'll start to put the pieces together, and just balancing your reds and your blues is powerful. Let's go down and see what's blue down here. Connective tissue. Well, that could be like in the respiratory tract, or there could be just inflammation throughout the body. We do see infection. And kidneys. Now, kidneys, and more in a cat, of course, the kidneys deteriorate, but the kidneys deteriorate as a person, a 14-year-old dog is a pretty elderly dog, even for a smaller dog. So we're seeing some of the, the kidneys, part of the aging of the body, and the microvasculatures and the kidneys. The more that we can maintain that and keep the person or the animal healthy, that's good things. A lot of the first steps that we do in drainage, in European drainage, like the Unda remedies, in naturopathic medicine, we use the kidney remedies often throughout life, because taking care of the kidneys, you're taking care of the ability to clear things from the body, and you're helping to keep those kidneys healthy longer. So doing a kidney cleanse from time to time is very, very helpful. We do see the lymphatics, right? So that infection of virus. So one thing that we can do is we can either use infection or virus. Now, virus is not blue, but I use any frequencies that have a score under 200, I consider to be important for those of you who are new to the class or new to the genius. Now, if we swipe quickly from left to right under infection, we can actually look under, kind of tempted to look under bacteria, even though it said that there's a, concurrent virus there. So we can look under bacteria all, and why is it not coming up? Okay, it should come up. I put a space in here. Bacteria. This is called our entangled insights, and it allows us to compare one thing to another. So when I hit the checkbox, what I'm looking for is a high correlation of some of these bacteria. It's now testing all of them. One thing I have to caution you is that some of these bacteria may not be exactly what's going on for that particular person. So it may be a resonance that's similar to another type of bacteria. Now, usually we're looking for about 50%. This is pretty good correlation. And we do see Streptococcus pneumoniae, which would be a very common, that's a pretty good, like, you can't make this stuff up. That's pretty awesome. In fact, I probably would want that. This is the thing that's confusing me, is sometimes I feel like I can't see the quick zap, and it's right here. So let's even put that in the quick zap, and let's also put that down in here, and we'll talk about the difference between the two. See, sometimes when we want to direct energy at a particular thing, like we're real sure, like we're onto something, we may want to keep it up in the quick zap, and then we put some shifters and energy drivers into the quick zap. Like we could put the 5-8 Solfeggio, or we could put one of the Nogier. So the things that'll be really potentiators to nip that particular thing, or a great remedy for a bacteria. One of the things that we use in naturopathic medicine that you couldn't really use maybe directly for a dog, I'd have to check, is we use this thing, the initials stand for hemp, but it's not hemp. It's called Hydrastis, Echinacea, Myrrh, and Phytolacca. And use this stuff. You can find similar types of this stuff online, like Wise Woman Herbals or Gaia. Especially Phytolacca. It's a toxic herb, so it has to be used in combination. But man, you guys, I would have patients that would come in, I would test them, they were positive for strep, and standard of care in medicine, you have to give an antibiotic, but in naturopathic medicine, our standard of care is to make sure that we're treating it appropriately. So we get to use the Hydrastis, Echinacea, Myrrh, and Phytolacca, and I would do a rapid strep test in my office, have the person come back in 48 hours, and their strep was gone on the rapid strep test. It was pretty cool. So this stuff works. So yeah, it really interesting that that would come up for him. So good stuff on the Entangled Insights, you guys. So then we go back to I wanted to do body systems at a 16. Phew. So body systems at 16, compressed energy in the physical. Immune system, you can understand nervous system too. You ever have a really bad cough? Like, when every few years, if I get a bronchitis, man, just goes right to my chest. I get people think that I have not whooping cough, but a terrible cough. And you know how exhausting that is. And so probably that's one of the reasons the nervous system is stressed out, maybe just being exhausted from the cough. And this is great. We see the respiratory at 19, not great for the dog, but just that it's great that we see the results here. I mean, it's pretty incredible that we could use the picture, the name, the date of birth, and our intention, because our intention is important too. We're sort of asking in a non-verbal way when we're testing. It is my intention to clearly see the picture so that I may assist that animal or person. And if you may even want to say that before you push the buttons, before you start your session, because you are in the quantum field. You are in this entanglement. You are part of this equation. We're not just going to have a robot pushing the buttons and getting the same result. It's the quantum field. So your intention, your clarified energy as you're doing testing is very, very important. So digestive, so that, with the dog, we maybe want very, very careful about, maybe we want to add some enzymes to the food. Something we want to maybe, I don't know if raw food is a good, but we want to do something for maybe put some probiotics in the food, something we can do for the digestive system to assist it. Okay, so then let's go to our libraries, and we'll do a sort of a head to toe of all the libraries, but not all of the libraries will relate. So like this menopause, but there might be something in the menopause, like a hormone like DHEA or something, that is important. So telomerase, digestive, gluten. I wonder if there's been gluten in the food. Headache solutions, voice healing. Not all of these relate. So we're going to consciously choose the respiratory panels that come with my different packages. So we want to test the anatomy, the respiratory anatomy. And one thing that he mentioned was the trachea. Now the trachea is testing well, so maybe he might be mistaken. It might not be the trachea per se that is the issue, but we could include it anyway. He said he thought the trachea was part of the issue, but it does say right lung at 9. So it's a very strong chance that the right lung is where the infection is. Tertiary bronchi, The lungs are like branches of a tree that go from largest, like the two lungs themselves, and then they go to lobes, and then they go to bronchi, and they branch into smaller and smaller pieces until you get to the alveolar sacs. So including all of these can be really good in biofeedback. What we're doing is we're sending energy to specific places, and the more specific place that we send the energy, the better result that we get. So if we can focus our energy to the lung, that's where we're going to have our effect. But if we get down to the alveolar sac, we may even have a greater impact. So if we follow the lungs, up from the different branches, we'll get to the secondary bronchi, then we'll get to the bronchi, then we'll get to the lobe. And so that's how this works. So it would make sense that all of them would be appearing as being out of balance. So we test the respiratory anatomy, then we want to test for the infection. Now, once we test for an infection one time, then it may clear it energetically. So if you test again for the infection in a different part of the program, you may get a different result, because even just testing shifts the energy. So we already tested for strep pneumoniae. We may not get strep pneumoniae again. So that's really important to understand, because sometimes people in there, I'm getting different results. But that's because when you test, you shift the energy. So be aware that your first out of the gate testing is the most significant when you're looking at the same thing over and over again. So rejection affecting physical health. So this little pup could be taking on the energy of his owner feeling, I know the dog's not a pup, but this pup, I'm talking about, this owner feeling rejected, and that could be a wound that the dog has taken on, or the dog could be mistakenly feeling like, well, I'm old and they want me to transition, which I'm sure that's not what they're feeling. But you know what? Children like pick up different messages. So that's a really important one to be clearing. 0 is the highest number that you can attain in biofeedback in terms of something being out of balance, because it's the highest number of compression. And it may tell us that there's a deep wound. It could be with the owner. I consider this rejection affecting physical health to be as important as the strep pneumoniae itself. Okay, some heavy metals, and this is what I was getting at. There was a really great TED Talk about animals, and I'll see if I can link it and include it in this week's newsletter. And the gentleman discovered that giving your dog 3 servings of greens a day, this was a study that was done. In the study, it cut the incidence of cancer in dogs by like 80%. So I'll see if I can find it. It was quite astounding. Giving your dog 3 servings of greens a day cut the cancer rate in this particular study, this segment of population, by 80%. So that's really amazing. So yeah, dogs take on a lot of toxins because their nose is to the ground, so they're getting exposed to glyphosate. And I mean, I've got weeds. It's embarrassing on my property. I'm trying to dig them up constantly because I will not spray on the property because of that, because the dogs are the ones that are going to get the biggest upshot of that, not to mention all of your neighbors and the water and everything. Okay, norovirus, then Drosera is actually a solution that we use, very, very good for that deep, unremitting cough. Drosera, very, very good. May be exposed to mold, strep biofilm. Now this kind of matches, and it's really important, right? Because the strep pneumoniae may be blocked or hidden from the immune system by a biofilm. So this is why we use things like biocidin or serrapeptase, things that can penetrate the biofilm, like especially in Lyme. So it's very, very interesting that this comes up. You guys, when you practice this and you get good at the Genius, and everyone on here has the ability to get very, very good at testing with the Genius, you can get so much precise information. Sometimes when I'm doing this, I think, gosh, they should be doing this in, every I'm afraid to say like every medical, office in the world, because gosh, this information is so valuable and it's so spot on a lot of the time when it's interpreted correctly. And that's, of course, a little bit of the rub there. But there's no downside to using the frequencies. If you're a surgeon and you remove the pancreas instead of the spleen, that patient's not going to be doing well. But if you run a frequency for the spleen versus the pancreas, or the pancreas versus the spleen, the person's going to be fine. So you can't get this wrong. That's why it's amazing, and that's why it's perfect in home use for you to use for your family, or for a smart practitioner to use in their practice in a way that has wisdom. Oculus drainage issues, so this is something related to the eyes. Heavy metal fibers, so this dog has somehow inhaled, or there might have been heavy metal in the food. Something's gone on there. So we've got that, and then we've got some solutions. So we've got some herbal solutions. Now, this you have to be careful of, because not everything that you can give to a human as herbal medicine you can give to a dog. So, but you can always run it energetically. Okay, so we've got golden seal, myrrh. See, that's what I was talking about, the Hydrastis echinacea. Hydrastis is in the golden seal. Hydrastis echinacea, myrrh, phytolacca, HEMP. You can look for that online, HEMP. It's not hemp, it just stands, just an acronym for what HEMP, the phytolacca being one of the most important ones here. So we can use this cherry bark and myrrh, and then we can look up online. There is one website I know that's really, really great that has herbal medicine for dogs. I'll see if I can link that in the newsletter as well. You guys, if you've searched for any natural medicine online for dogs or cats, you've probably run into that website. And I've ordered herbal remedies for my dogs and cats from there, and it's been pretty good quality. So that's all that we would run there. And then just a quick look back at the other things that were coming up for this particular dog. We do see electrical sensitivities. Now, I really try to turn off the Wi-Fi at night, because they're being very much affected by it too. Just think of children and animals as being very, very similar. Electrical appliances, maybe the dog sleeps near something, Wi-Fi, radio waves. So if the dog sleeps in the kitchen, could be affected by the microwave. Hey, Candy's popping in the room here. Hey, Candy from Arizona, welcome. Good to have you along. And Barbara's here from Arizona as well. Arizona in the house. I just looked at the weather reports for some places. You guys are still hot there. Looks like it's still about 100 degrees. We've got the heart, the skin. That's interesting. So a lot of times when the body ages, the skin ages too. We could have a whole class about the skin and the implication on health. Thyroid, kind of things you would expect in an aging dog. For those of you who have my mastery guide, all the herbs are defined in the mastery guide. So go to my mastery guide and you can find the herbs in the mastery guide, in the newer version of the mastery guide. Oh, maybe I didn't add it to this one. If you have my new version of the mastery guide, you can request the PDF with the herbal definition. So if you don't have it in there, I think what I did is I put it in the weekend class, and I need to add it to the new mastery guide. So if you don't have that, you can request the PDF if you're an owner of my mastery guide, and I'll get that to you. It has not the longest definition of herbs, but some basics. Cinnamon, astragalus, cayenne, lion's mane. Lion's mane is being used for Parkinson's. Very interesting. So something going on with the neurotransmitters. It could be the effects of aging. Let's see. Chaparral is used for the immune system and lung stuff. Calendula for the skin. St. John's wort is good for the nerves. It seems like there's something going on with the nervous system. We often think about St. John's wort, which is also known as hypericum, for depression. But did you know you can use hypericum after you have a dental procedure? You can get it homeopathically, and it'll help with the nerve involved in the particular dental procedure. So we've got some herbs. We've got the meridians. So meridians are very, very powerful because they are the embodiment of mind, body, and spirit. And they are also really, they are the energy pathways of the body. So they're like the energy highways. They're going to affect many parts of the body. They're going to be part of what opens up the energy in the body. We've got heart, kidney, conception vessel. These times that are indicated here are the times when the person might have an aggravation. So from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., the dog might feel worse than it usually does. It's hard to tell because dogs are not reporting. And then the kidney 5 to 7. So if you have something going on with your kidney meridian, you might get real tired between 5 and 7, and that could be an indicator. That's why the times are there. So we can include heart, we can include kidney, we can include the spleen meridian. This is a lot about digestion. Enzymes, I think enzymes could be really helpful here. Maybe Dale is our enzyme expert. We might get an opinion from him if he was seeing that as well. The Solfeggio tones are definitely in the mastery guide, and you guys want to read those. Try to like memorize some of the basics that I put in the mastery guide. You should consider your Solfeggio tones to be very important tools for you to use because they work at that high vibrational level. They work sort of beyond the conscious. They work in those higher realms. And often when we're working on any type of physical issue, we work with 285. It's 651. It's not the highest resonance. But 285 is good when you're trying to heal a physical condition. The frequency helps to return tissue to its original form. 285 influences energy fields, sending them a message to restructure damaged organs. It leaves your body feeling rejuvenated and energized. So you could just run 285 for, 5 minutes into water and drink that for the rest of the day. There's another really good one. You could combine that with the Nogier frequency. There's a Nogier frequency, which is A. Nogier frequency A is for cellular vitality. So you could put 285 and you could put Nogier A into water through the remedy plate and drink the water the rest of the day. I probably would put a third in there because I always like 3. I always like the number 3. So then 639 hertz is about connecting relationships, but use the mastery guide. Look at that often to really grasp more about what these solfeggios mean. So 639 is balancing and reconnecting relationships, creates harmony in these areas. Specifically, the tone Fa can be used to clear any type of relationship issue in your life. Just Fa. I mean, chanting and words, all of these things are very, very powerful. I might even include this up here. So because it is about relationships and relationships are all about communication, this frequency can be used also to increase cell-to-cell communication. That's very good in cancer. 639 enhances the energy of tolerance and love. But again, this is no reflection. I don't know what's going on for the owner, but it could mean that the owner is having that particular issue. It could be a relationship thing. It could be relating to other people. So that may be the sponge thing that the animal is picking up on. So clear the animal, you're sort of self-serving too. You're actually clearing yourself as well because you've got these matching picture pieces because the dog is sort of in your field picking these things up and in some ways identifying them. So then let's go to progressive insights and see what pops up at the top here. Then we'll do another 3 minutes and go look at the aura. It's interesting that lion's mane comes up at the top. You guys really look into the mushrooms. We need to do just an exclusively medicinal mushroom class. So important. If you want to read anything about medicinal mushrooms, I encourage you to do so because they are very, very powerful. Your chaga, your reishi, your Coriolis versicolor, sorry, is used for cancer. Still waking up here. Your cordyceps, all of those are excellent for cancer prevention, for helping with cancer, and just somehow there's elements in the mushrooms that seem to be very much able to help us in the time that we're living in. So I really recommend medicinal mushrooms. Lion's mane is really for Parkinson's. I'm trying to remember some of the other effects. I mean, it's not just for Parkinson's, it's very much for the nervous system. So I suspect there's something going on in the brain as well as a result of the aging process for this particular animal. So yeah, it's a good preventive for the brain. So if you know you have a history of dementia or Alzheimer's in your family, this would be a good one to give parents or to take yourself. Skin. So again, we see that skin. Often you can see a lot of signs of things going wrong in the body by looking at the skin. So I don't know if the dog has anything going on obvious in the skin. Radio waves, so being affected by the EMFs. Water violet. So this is when we do the flower essences with the physical issues for humans or for dogs, now we're getting an answer about how that particular physical issue, what the emotional piece is that is related to the physical issue. So now we're getting more information specific to the physical piece. Before we just sort of got general, but this is saying like, how is the respiratory issue? What is the emotional piece that needs to be released in relationship to the physical issue? So water violet, quiet self-reliance leading to isolation. So the lungs are the way that the body energetically relates to the outside world. And I studied with Dr. Guignot, those of you who have my brain protocol, and he really talked about this. He used a drainage remedy called Unda number 5, big time for this, when he recognized that when you have someone who just is like sort of more of an introvert, if they don't do that in a healthy way, then they can have lung issues. So the lungs are how you relate to people around you, how you literally and metaphorically, how you relate to the outside world. It's that mucosal membrane that you relate to the outside world with. So for those of you in health and illness, they like to be alone, very quiet people. And this could describe an animal too. So if you're more of an introvert, you know, you want to do this in a more healthy way. Primary bronchi, the alveolar sac, so we see all the respiratory pieces. There may be low cortisol affecting, or cortisol being stressed out before it could have suppressed the immune system. We see all of the respiratory solutions. So if we get all of those together, we can put all that are high, we can put most that are high, but we're going to have a big impact. I'm confusing oak and olive. Really, I did that last time, but oak is the person who pushes through themselves to the point of exhaustion. So that's what the oak is about. So now let's go ahead. We would harmonize for 3 minutes here. Then we'll go back and look at the aura, and then we would sort of finish everything up in the quick zap with those key pieces that I looked at, like the strep pneumoniae, and some higher vibrational energies. This is the Shavasana at the end of the session. We sort of plump everything up and we sort of do what we can right at the end, and we want to end, if we can, with the aura looking nice and clear if it's possible. And a lot of those higher energies, when just taken on their own, like the Solfeggios and the Nogies, usually contribute to that. So now we're sort of slogging through the physical stuff, and then we'll end up in some of the higher energies, or we may maintain in the quick zap some of those things like the strep pneumoniae because they are so important to get through. Okay, hawthorn berry for dogs help to extend my dog's life. It's really funny because the hawthorn berry is falling here in Portland, and my dogs around the perimeter of my home, they are eating those hawthorn berries like crazy. Strep pneumoniae. So think of the word pneumonia, Kelly, and strep pneumoniae just being like strep pneumonia. What is a good, hey Kendra, what is a good kidney cleanse? Lemon juice is good for kidney stones, but look for Andreas Moritz's kidney cleanse tea. I really like that. Andreas Moritz, when he was alive, he published in his book a series of herbs. And then there was a company, I think it's called Present Moment, has made available those herbs in a tea. And so you get the bulk herbs, and he's mixed them all up, and then you order it online, and then you drink that tea for about 3 or 4 days. That's all you need to do. Do that 4 times per year and you got a kidney cleanse. If you want a consultation, I can prescribe some drainage remedies for you, and that's another way you can do a kidney cleanse. I would often recommend a cleansing diet along with that. So we use some of the Unda numbers to do that. And Grace says, your animals are on their own journey too. Yes, yes, they come with their mission and service. People agreeing with that. Very, very good. Good comments today, you guys. I love it. So we're almost done. I'm really grateful that Ryan put this little countdown in here because there are a few other things I wanted to see if I could touch on. So if there are final questions or anything you guys want to jump in there and ask, remember to email me the name and date of birth of your dog or cat, and I'm going to be working on putting together a special webinar dedicated to animals and some of the things we can use both in natural medicine and biofeedback to help them. Okay, so we're just about at the end here, and then hopefully Tony can listen to the recording on this one and get some of the things that we talked about. But it was such an urgent case and I was a bit under the weather over the weekend, so able to maybe talk about this now. Hopefully this will be helpful. So then we go back to the Ora and let's take another look at the Ora. So this is what it was. And let's go back. So we just hit begin analysis. It's so convenient now that's been updated that we don't even have to put something in the tray. We can just boom, just hit that. Every time we go back in here, we can retest it. Okay, so interesting. Wow. So we didn't get more of the blue and the purple, but we got a lot of green. Of course, that's healing energy, emerald green. This reminds me of this pattern I'm seeing, which is sort of like the clear the deck pattern. Sometimes in the mid-session, I'm seeing more pastels, more things that are just very, very clear. So I think this is a good sign. A lot of the density moved out of the bottom of the Ora. We have some nice green over here. And then it's interesting that there's a lighter green over here, so I'm not sure if we're moving to this. And this could also be digestive clearing because this looks a little bit bile-like. So I think some of that might be going on. But this looks very, very good. And so this is then we did 3 minutes, 3 minutes. We did 3 minutes and another session of 3 minutes, and now we're going to end on about 3 minutes. So I've got up in the quick zap, and then you just sort of ask, like, is there anything else that seems important to get in here? These could be like, there's the strep pneumoniae, Kelly, that I was telling you about. Rejection affecting physical health, so that's a big emotional thing, although it wasn't picked up in progressive insights. I didn't see it in the high there. Perfecting the note, connecting relationships, and then anything else, oops, we don't want to do that, anything else that you think is important. So anything else, so like what would be the miraculous things that you know about? What would be the important things that you are intuiting? I always like to work with, say, the Fibonacci sequence to restore things to their natural order. And you can work with the Nogiers, right? Learn about the Nogiers, try to memorize some of these basics. I'm working on some, will be like some laminated cheat sheets, so you can just keep them on your desk so you can keep checking them, and then some basic like hints about the particular thing so you can learn them a little faster. But if you sort of have these in your mind, you know, like Nogier A for cellular vitality, and you can add it in at the end. So we could add a Nogier A, you can add a Nogier F, but I was just looking for ones that would be like the miracle things. It's interesting, Nogier B didn't really come up at all, and that is more for digestive. We may have addressed the digestion. So let's go ahead and let's jump in here. We didn't get to the synergistics, so I am going to jump to synergistics before we're done. So can I do this while it's actually playing, or it'll stop? Okay, so let's answer any of your questions that you have. Those prescriptions have side effects in the animals just like people. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Strep pneumoniae, so the remedy, so strep pneumoniae is not the remedy, strep pneumoniae is this type of bacteria, but what I was mentioning, I'll put it down here in the comments, is something that we use, you may be even able to find it online, we use in natural medicine, it's called HEMP, But, and I'm going to just go ahead and send that, but that actually, and now I'm going to send what it stands for. It stands for Hydrastis, Echinacea, Myrrh, and Phytolacca. And it seems like Wise Woman Herbals, you know, when I was in school, Wise Woman Herbals was one of our greatest supporters. And so I have a huge dedication to that company, even though they were taken over by a chiropractor, but they seem to have run the company really, really well. And over the years, I've just continued to use their products. Like I use the solid hawthorn extract, and they have things for menopause that are really good. Okay, yeah, so they still have this. They have the Hemp Plus compound. So you can find it through Wise Woman. So it's they added something extra in there. They've got echinacea, myrrh, phytolacca, and she's added stellingia, which is queen's root. I don't remember why that was added. Hydrastis, echinacea. Yeah, it's got the golden seal. Yeah, just look for Hemp Plus, HEMP Plus from Wise Woman Herbals. That's another one. Keep that in your medicine cabinet, you guys, for the winter. And just remember to read the bottle on that one, you guys, because it is, phytolacca is a toxic herb. You don't want your kid drinking that bottle of that. You want to keep it out of the reach of children. But if you use it in the way that it's prescribed, it's fantastic. That achiness you feel in your throat when you have strep, it's so you feel like there's toothpicks jabbing you back there. It's really painful. That will be gone in 24 to 48 hours. The phytolacca was something that was used by the traditional naturopathic doctors back in the mid 20th century, you know, before better living through chemistry and antibiotics. So it's a wonderful, wonderful herb. So Hydrastis, Echinacea, Myrrh, and Phytolacca. So we're just waiting for this last 22 seconds. Then we're going to go to synergistic, so we could even check hemp, HEMP, for the dog or something else. There are many, many canine remedies. I didn't even get to test the veterinary remedies. We could do that quickly and just hold over for a couple of minutes as well. So let's go ahead and test the Ora. Okay, so let's see if anything has happened here. So usually try to get it so there's no densities at the end. But you know, I mean, this all made a positive difference. We did very, very, this is good. This is good. We don't see it yet, but it's coming. So this is a good sort of, this is what the note that I like to end on, you guys. So this is what I like to see. So there's still maybe a little bit of density. It looks different on your screen because I can see what you're looking at. So it still looks like there's a little bit up at the top, but it looks so much better. So let's look at them again. Sorry, I have to go to the pictures. So let's look at the three of them. So this is when we started. So some of the densities down at the bottom. This is mid, sort of like I call it clearing the deck, and this is what we ended on. So it's looking much, much better. You don't have those reds and browns. There's a more of a clarity to everything, even a bit more symmetry to it, which you also want to see as well in the Ora. So let's see what came. There's probably gonna be a lot of things. The dog is older, so there'll probably be a lot of parasites and so forth. We'll just take a quick look, see if there's anything helpful. I mean, everybody has some element of Lyme disease. I don't take Lyme disease to be that important unless there are a lot of other matching things going on. Okay, unfortunately, we seem very, very stuck here for some reason. There we go. Okay, got very, very slow for a second. So down to the bottom. So not really anything helpful, you know, just parasites, very, very common. You know, it's important to worm your dogs from time to time. That's part of, you know, I think people have gotten out of the habit of doing that. and we can use it, look at the veterinary canine remedies. These, by the way, are standard process remedies. I don't use standard process a lot for humans, but I think it's excellent for dogs because it's got those organotherapies in there. I think it's better suited. I'm sure the company would love it if I was saying that. In my experience, I think it's better and all we need there. Okay, so let's just jump into synergistics. If you go to your navigation bar, which is at the top right, when I say navigation bar, I mean the 3 horizontal lines. You tap on that. I want to go to something called your extra modules. These extra modules used to be on the face of the program from out of the way, so they are a bit hidden. You want to find a remedy that you want to test specifically. So it's really hard to come up with one for a dog. Just trying to think of the ones that I know in my mind. So when you come up with a particular product that you want to test in particular, then that's when you would enter maybe the dose that you want to use, and you can vary the dose and retest it, or you might test something that you want to do, someplace that you want to go. All of those things you can test by putting them in the name in synergistics. So let's not put a particular thing. Let's just put, they can give dogs, let's try bifidobacterium, because bifidobacterium is good when you have a lot of inflammation. So let's just type in bifidobacterium, which would be like to get a dog probiotic. And let's even specify that it's a probiotic. I don't even have a brand. But let's just see if that, so is that helpful? And then what we do is we hit begin analysis, and it begins to fill up the different circles. And the more full the circle is, then the more that it resonates with that particular person or animal, meaning that it has a tendency to be beneficial. So here it tells us these are greatly, greatly filled circles. I've never seen one that's completely filled. So that's really interesting. So for the energy field of the dog, this is excellent. It's interesting that the probiotics could influence the energy field. And then it's good for the spiritual aspect. It's good for the body, very, very good for the body. Is it good for the mind? I mean, your probiotics may not address the mind. And also, this could be mental awareness. Like, is the dog really aware in its mind that the probiotics would be good? Probably not. But this looks great. So just sort of a chance, just sort of happenstance, the bifidobacterium, and you can get bifidobacterium just for dogs now. Just Google bifidobacterium for dogs, and I'll try to see if I can find a better naturopathic line. But pretty much you guys get the idea. This would be an excellent thing. This was a great synergistics to use for the class today. So and then just last thing here, we won't get to talk about it too much, but I just wanted, some people don't even know that up here at the system overview, you can toggle, in other words, you can tap it again, and it switches to the general overview. And I am partially responsible for this being here, but it didn't turn out the way I hoped. What I hoped was that we could scan the entire matrix at one time and get some aha moments, but I don't know, it didn't kind of work out that way, and so I don't use it as much as I could, but I still think it could give you hints. Like this says the highest essential oil is rose for this particular dog, and what that equates to is that this tested through, I'd say, at least 800 remedies, and out of 800 remedies and issues, rose came up the highest. So that is meaningful. And so that means that you'll have a very, very good effect from using rose either as an actual remedy, or if you include it in your balancing, you could include it up in the quick zap, or you could include it down in the lower tray. And so one thing you can do is you could look through these and see, is there a common theme here? What is the theme that you see? Well, here you see all the meridians of the bladder, although that one's gallbladder. And you see the spinal energy, insulin. Insulin is something that gets dysregulated as we age. And you can also look at the lowest ones, because that has meaning too. And you can, instead of having to scroll all the way down, the developer did something great, and that is that you can just toggle this. And so when you toggle it, it tells us what is the most compressed item. And this actually is still a very, very good testing mechanism. I just really have gotten out of the habit of using it. So it says the pericardium meridian is very, very low in comparison to everything else. Bee pollen is good, governing meridian. So all of these would be very, very valuable, but it gives you hints, like the emotion that's most up for the dog right now is sadness. And by the way, when you see hope here, that means the dog wants to have hope. So by adding this in, but may feel hopeless. So they're trying to approximate or bring in that particular emotion. So just to show you the whole thing one more time, we're up in System Overview. We tap on System Overview, and it brings us to, is it my imagination or did something just disappear from that? That was weird. Wasn't there a 777 in there? Okay. Anyway, I can't deal with looking at that at the moment. So, what did I, is it something that I did here? Something weird is going on there. Anyway, so then you tap it again, it goes down to the lowest ones. You can look at the lowest ones and it gives you hints about the case. And so even though you might not use all of these, you can look for what is the common theme. The problem is that there's so many meridians that come up because all the points are in here too. So you do have to sort of get through those and maybe just sort of disregard all the meridians and then look at some of these items like mold and dander. Dogs have dander. Wanting to be more happy, the chaparral that we talked about, maybe the essence of will. And you can just take these and put them into your progressive insights and then hit your progressive insights again and see where are the things that have come up. You know, what other things have come up here. We're not going to get into them right now, but okay. So screen is black, chopped sound, you're coming in garbled. Oh, sorry, you guys. Okay, so yeah, Wise Woman Herbal sells only to practitioners. You guys, the purpose of telling you guys about Turskas and so forth, that was free if you wanted to order it or recommend it to a client. So it wasn't for you to establish a practitioner account if you're not a practitioner. You want to buy those things online. If Turskas, I guess message me. If Turskas isn't actually available online, then let me know. If you can't buy it anywhere on the internet except from Wise Woman, then contact me. But I may have explained that incorrectly, so I do apologize. Okay, you're good now. Okay, sorry about that. So let me just sum up by thanking everyone for being here. This will be uploaded to YouTube and sent out in the newsletter. Contact me if you have any other questions, and I'm so happy that you found the link this morning. That's so great. Have a blessed week, everyone. I'll see you next Monday. Take care and be well. Bye-bye for now.